Vanessa Blake sat upright in the courtroom, her posture poised and her chin lifted high. Inside, a fierce storm churned, but she maintained her composure. Just feet away, her soon-to-be ex-husband Eric Blake whispered something to Melissa, the pregnant woman who had helped tear their marriage apart. The room hummed quietly with tension. Lawyers shuffled papers, a bailiff called out names, and the weight of unspoken truths filled the air. Then Vanessa spoke, her voice steady and unwavering. "Your Honor," she began, rising to her feet, "I'd like to call one more witness before we proceed." Eric's face shifted sharply, his smile flickered. Melissa froze beside him, confusion flickering into something darker, fear. The courtroom door swung open with a decisive click of heels. Heads turned. When the witness stepped inside, Eric's face paled, color draining as he recognized who had entered. His lips moved silently, surprise and dread evident in his expression. He had never imagined this moment, not today, not like this. Vanessa didn't look at him. He didn't need to. Her gaze remained fixed on the judge, but inside her mind flashed back to weeks earlier, when she had been a devoted wife, a loving mother, someone who believed in her husband. Now she had become something else altogether. As the witness approached her seat, Vanessa's heart pounded, not with fear but with clarity. This was about more than divorce. It was about truth, dignity, and finally being heard. And the journey was only just beginning. Just 2 months prior, Vanessa Blake's life seemed perfect from the outside. At 35, she worked as a part-time translator from home, raising 2 beautiful children, Sophie, age 8, and Caleb, age 4. Her husband, Eric, held a well-paying position as a department head at a major tech company. They lived in a peaceful suburb outside Denver, in a spacious house filled with toys and chalk drawings. To outsiders, it was the life most envied. Vanessa's days were a whirlwind of school drop-offs, grocery shopping, toddler tantrums, and late-night translation work after the kids had gone to bed. It wasn't glamorous, but it was purposeful. She cooked, cleaned, read bedtime stories, and managed the household silently with love. Eric, though often busy and tired, had always been kind, smiling at the dinner table, helping with bills, occasionally surprising her with flowers. Arguments were rare, and when they happened, he'd apologize, claiming she was the glue that held everything together. She believed him, until everything changed. It was an ordinary Tuesday when Vanessa was driving home after dropping off papers at a notary's office. As she passed Eric's workplace, she slowed at the sight of him standing outside, hands in his pockets, looking relaxed. She almost rolled down her window to wave. But then a woman in a sleek black coat and high heels approached him, confident and tall. She leaned in and kissed him casually as if they'd done it 100 times. Vanessa's breath caught. She watched in stunned silence as Eric smiled, wrapped his arms around the woman and led her to his car. They drove off together, carefree. Vanessa sat frozen, gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding. Was this real? How long had it been going on? How had she missed it? Tears threatened, but she blinked them away. There was no time to fall apart now. She still had to pick up Sophie from school in 20 minutes. The shock had to wait. That evening, once the children were asleep, Vanessa descended the stairs with the heaviness of the day weighing on her. Eric sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone, a plate of reheated lasagna before him. He looked up and offered a casual smile. "Hey love. You okay?" Vanessa stepped back. "Eric," she said, her voice steady yet low, "there's something I need to ask you. Is there something you want to tell me?" He blinked in confusion. "About what?" "I saw you today outside your office," she continued. "I saw the woman, the kiss, the hug. Who is she?" A deafening silence followed. Eric slowly set down his fork, his smile vanishing. "Vanessa, I didn't mean for you to find out like this." "So it's true," she said, already knowing the answer. "Yes," he admitted, nearly too calm. "Her name's Melissa. She's a colleague. We've been seeing each other for a few months." Vanessa's stomach sank. "And you didn't think I deserved to know?" Eric ran a hand through his hair, frustration flickering in his eyes. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't walk away from her either." "What does that mean?" she pressed. "You want us to live double lives? Me raising our children, cooking dinner, and you with her during lunch breaks in hotel rooms." Eric looked her in the eyes. "I don't want to divorce," he said quietly. "The kids need stability." "Then you're lying to all of us," Vanessa shot back, voice trembling with fury. What they need is a father who's honest. Someone who doesn't sneak another woman into their lives behind my back. His expression shifted. Vanessa, she's pregnant. The room spun. Vanessa felt the world tilt. You're kidding me, she whispered. You cheated and now she's pregnant. And you expect me to pretend everything's normal? I'm sorry, he muttered. But I won't leave her. I can't. Vanessa pushed back from the table. Then I will. I'm filing for divorce first thing tomorrow. Eric's tone hardened. You do that and you'll regret it. I'll take the kids the house. You won't get much. Her eyes narrowed. Don't threaten me. If you try to take my children, you'll see what I'm capable of. Without another word, she turned and walked out, tears threatening but her spine straight. A part of her had broken and it wouldn't heal. The next morning, Eric left before sunrise. No goodbyes, no notes, not even the usual coffee mug left in the sink. Vanessa moved through her routine on autopilot, packing Sophie's lunch, helping Caleb with his shoes, answering emails, all while trying to hold herself together. But the numbness was short-lived. In the afternoon, everything shattered again. Eric came home unexpectedly, not alone. Behind him, Melissa followed, her coat over her arm, her pregnancy showing beneath a fitted sweater. Vanessa descended the stairs, stunned. What is she doing here? Vanessa demanded. Eric didn't answer. He simply went to the kitchen, poured himself a drink, and opened the fridge. Melissa grabbed some pancakes Vanessa had made for the kids that morning. This house smells amazing, Melissa said casually. You're a great cook. I might keep that recipe. Vanessa stared, incredulous. You think this is a joke? You're in my house, where my children live. Melissa met her gaze. Soon it won't be yours. Eric and I are getting married. He's filing for full custody. You're not fit to raise them alone. Vanessa's voice trembled as she turned to Eric. Tell me she's lying. He avoided her eyes. Silence stretched between them. I told you, Vanessa, you shouldn't have filed for divorce. You made this happen, you walked away, remember? No, she interrupted, nearly choking on the words. You cheated. You lied. And now you're trying to erase me. Melissa leaned against the kitchen counter with a smug smile. We're going to make this home ours. A real family. That was the moment it all clicked. Vanessa didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. Instead, she quietly moved upstairs to the children's rooms. Kids, she whispered softly, kneeling beside them. We're going on a little trip. Pack a few things, just the essentials. Where are we going? Sophie's eyes were wide with curiosity. Someplace safe, Vanessa answered, her voice gentle but firm. She grabbed the most important documents, her laptop, and a change of clothes. With trembling hands, she loaded the kids into the car, silently pulled out of the driveway and didn't look back. She had no destination in mind, just a clear resolve. They wouldn't stay in that life anymore. Vanessa drove through the city, her grip tight on the steering wheel, glancing in the rearview mirror at her children. Sophie stared out the window, silent, lost in thought. Caleb clutched his stuffed dinosaur, confused but quiet. They had left everything behind. The house, the furniture, the backyard swing set, the life Vanessa had believed was theirs. She had only a few $1,000s in savings, the emergency fund, and Eric's monthly transfers for expenses. She couldn't turn to Eric's parents. They had already made it clear they supported their son. Her own mother lived across the country and wasn't in good health. Most of her friends she'd distanced herself from over the years, too busy raising her children and managing the household. She had to act fast. At a gas station, she handed her kids snacks and pulled out her phone. Apartment listings, short-term rentals, places within 15 minutes of Sophie's school. Then she saw it. A modest 2-bedroom apartment in an older brick building near the park. Clean, affordable, available immediately. Vanessa dialed the number. Hi, I'm interested in renting your unit. It's for me and my 2 children. She arranged to meet in 40 minutes. She arrived early, parking outside the small building with its overgrown hedges and faded shutters. The kids were fussy, tired, asking questions. Sophie finally asked, Mom, why aren't we going home? Vanessa crouched beside her. This is our new home for now. Just for a little while. Somewhere peaceful. The landlord, Greg, a kind-eyed middle-aged man, arrived and showed her inside. The apartment was freshly cleaned, simple furniture, neutral walls, a warm lived-in feel. Vanessa looked around the small kitchen, the narrow hallway, the 2 bedrooms that would have to do. "We'll take it," she said. That night, Vanessa tucked the kids into their new beds and lay awake staring at the ceiling. Fear still lingered, but so did something else, resolve. She had no safety net, no backup plan, just her children, her laptop, and her determination. For now, that had to be enough. But she knew survival wasn't enough. She had to fight back. The next morning, after dropping Sophie at school and Caleb at daycare, she sat in a quiet cafe with her laptop open and a worn notebook beside her. Her friend Tasha had responded to her late-night text with a name. Daniel Rodas, a family lawyer known for being calm, strategic, and fiercely protective of mothers. Vanessa made the call. "Mr. Rodas, my name is Vanessa Blake. I need legal help. It's urgent." They arranged to meet that afternoon. Vanessa chose a cafe with a play corner so Caleb could stay occupied. When Daniel arrived, tall, soft-spoken, wearing a blue shirt with rolled-up sleeves, he sat across from her and opened a leather-bound notebook. "Tell me everything," he said gently. And she did. She explained the affair, the pregnancy, Eric's threats, the day she fled with her children, and her current situation. Her voice cracked only once when she mentioned Melissa eating pancakes in her kitchen. Daniel nodded slowly. "Vanessa, you're not alone. Family courts don't just hand over custody to the higher earner. You're their primary caregiver. That counts for a lot." She exhaled, a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. But Eric was determined. "She wants the house, the kids," Vanessa said, her voice shaking. "He thinks I can't survive without him." Daniel's eyes sharpened. "Then he underestimates you." He advised her to start documenting everything. Receipts, texts, voice notes, every detail of parenting. Drop-offs, meals, nights rocking a sick child. Evidence of her love and labor. Meanwhile, Eric pressed on with his campaign. He filed for full custody and sole property rights, painting Vanessa as unstable, unreliable, and incapable. But Vanessa had proof: bills paid, school projects, dentist visits, birthday parties she'd organized alone, witnesses from school and daycare who had never met Eric. The second hearing arrived. Daniel stood confidently. "Your Honor," he said, "we'd like to call a witness." Eric leaned back smugly, but his eyes widened when the courtroom door opened. His own mother stepped inside. She had been silent throughout the ordeal, but now she testified to Vanessa's devotion. She admitted she hadn't known about Melissa until Vanessa told her. She revealed Eric's affair had lasted nearly a year and that he'd lied to everyone. The courtroom shifted. The judge frowned and Melissa appeared eager to disappear. Eric said nothing. Vanessa sat still, calm but vibrating with internal strength. For once, the truth was finally being heard. 3 weeks later, the verdict was read. Vanessa sat alone outside the courtroom, hands clasped tightly. When her name was called, she rose tall and walked in. The judge's words struck like a drumbeat. Vanessa would have primary custody of Sophie and Caleb. Eric would have visitation rights, possibly supervised. The house would be sold and the proceeds split evenly. His petition for full custody and sole ownership was denied. Vanessa blinked, barely breathing. Relief flooded her like warm water after a storm. Melissa hadn't shown up that day. She'd left Eric 2 weeks after the last hearing, overwhelmed by the chaos he'd created. Eric moved into a small condo, visiting infrequently. The man who once promised forever now seemed like a stranger. Vanessa, meanwhile, settled into her new apartment with quiet pride. She replaced curtains, painted walls, built a bookshelf with Sophie, planted herbs with Caleb. Piece by piece she created a new life, smaller, simpler, but hers. Not just surviving but beginning again. Sometimes she thought about the old house, the garden, the kitchen where Caleb took his first steps, the hallway decorated with Sophie's finger paintings. But she no longer missed that life. What she had built now, the love, the effort, the independence, was far more valuable. People often asked how she found the strength to leave. The truth was she didn't feel strong when she left. She was scared, alone, shaken to her core. But the thought of raising her children in a house built on lies, of teaching her daughter to accept betrayal, or her son to normalize disrespect, that was what gave her the courage to walk away. She hadn't stopped loving. She'd started to remember how to love herself again. To anyone listening, Vanessa has one message. If you're stuck in something quietly breaking you, don't wait for it to fall apart completely. You don't need the world's approval. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest with yourself first. Now she smiles, not because she's won but because she's reclaimed her life. Peace, freedom, and the chance to start anew. And if you've ever had to walk away from what once felt like everything, remember, you are not alone. Your story matters. Sometimes the quietest revenge is simply living well. If Vanessa's story resonates with you, share your journey or support someone who needs it. Like this message if you believe in healing. Subscribe for more raw, heartfelt stories because here we tell the truth and the truth always rises.